Job loss is devastating no matter when it happens. But when you're over 50, the outlook might seem downright bleak, but it doesn't have to be. There's a career change that a few very savvy professionals are making at this point, and you can too. No, I'm not talking about entrepreneurship. I'm joined today by Teri Cook, who found herself in this very situation a few years ago. She's a prime example of making lemonade, in fact, extraordinary lemonade, from a basket full of lemons. She's graciously agreed to share her journey with us. Make sure you stick around until the end when she's got some tips that helped her along this journey and will help you also. So let's get started. Teri, thanks for coming. And I like to say sometimes that what first appears as a problem is actually a great opportunity. And I'm sure if I said that to you 3 years ago, you would have rolled your eyes at me, but I'm hoping you agree today. So, since I think this describes your situation, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, Mayor, as you said, I can't believe it's been a little over 3 years since
3
we
years?
did our first podcast on how to start your career over after
That big
the
number.
age of 50. I can't even believe it. Over the age of 50, I should say. And as you recall, I was laid off from my job after 15 and a half years and over 50. That was an emotional roller coaster. I can't believe I didn't cry on that first episode. I was at Temple University for so many years. I thought that that would be the place that I was going to retire at 65. But hey, that was because I was Temple made and Temple proud. And deep in my heart, I always will be.
Good.
You know, I can't say anything bad. I love the job. I was blessed with such a great job most of the time. We don't always love our job every day.
Everybody has a bad day now and then.
Yep, you got that right. I got my free master's education from Temple. I gained a lot of experience that helped me land in my dream job, the company I work for today. So I'm now in my happy place.
But you didn't get to your happy place right away. So you had to deal with the emotional trauma, if you will, and everything else. So tell us what you did when this first happened.
God, I cried. Also, I remember saying, why me? Like this can't be it. I was scared. I was really disappointed in myself. And kept saying, what did I do wrong? I was hurt. And every day I would wake up and I would hope that it was just a bad dream. And I realized that it wasn't. The one part when I say about being hurt, that the people that I thought were my work friends within, that tight net that we worked in, I stopped hearing from them, right? I didn't hear from them anymore. And then I realized it's probably because I don't have that power. There's no connection. They don't really need me like they did before. So that was really hard, right? So I just needed to take time for me. Breathe, grieve. I needed to grieve. And that's what I did.
Okay.
And I had fun with my family. It was the summertime and friends. Oh, and some of the other things I did do too, Mayor, I forgot to mention, is that I did networking, right? So I did a lot of networking. I updated my LinkedIn page. And of course, started networking meant I was doing a lot of networking with you. You were a big inspiration for me. And I'm surprised you still have shoulders because I was always leaning on them. And it also gave me a lot of time to think, what did I want to do?
All right. So Teri, if I remember correctly, because, we talk all the time, you've had 3 jobs since you left Temple. Okay. This is, by the way, folks, 3 jobs since she's over 50. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah. So, after I took that little break, the first thing I did is, because I love process improvement. So I started my own business. It was called Tess. I always wanted to be named Tess, but I was not named Tess. So that's where Tess came from. Technology Executive Solution Services. So I started the business and I had 3 clients. It was going well. And the darn pandemic was hitting and things were slowing down and I wasn't really getting any money. So now it was time for me to start looking for a job with benefits again and being on somebody else's payroll. So when that happened, because I was doing a lot of networking, after tests, I worked for Recovery Centers of America. And that was great. I started March 11th of 2020.
Great timing, Teri.
I know. And then the offices shut down on that Friday, March 13th. So, don't even really know my staff, right? So, because I was in a director's role and I don't really know a lot of people. So that was a little crazy to say the least. So then I moved on to Prospect Crozier Medical Center, which was great. Director's role. We were still in the pandemic, so we worked days in the office and days at home. Great staff. Everybody worked hard in the healthcare industry. So, it was really crazy because it's healthcare. Great leadership there. And while I was there, I wasn't even looking. And SAP Concur reached out to me on an old application, believe it or not. So I applied for the job and then they said, you know what, we got something even better. And I said, okay. So I started. The weird part is about that too, is I remember when I was unsure because it was a big career change. It was something totally different than what I was doing. I was the director of accounts payable, heavily involved with purchase orders and purchasing. And I was in my comfort zone, right? Now I was going to come out of that comfort zone and start something completely different. And I remember going back and forth. I think that was back in June. I didn't say I do until November of, I guess that would be 2021, right?
Yeah.
November of 2021. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I started December of 2021 and I love it. So I made a career change, which I never thought I would really do. Like, even though I started my own business as tests, process improvement, but it was still heavily involved in accounts payable. That is my 3 jobs.
Okay. All right. So now you're at SAP Concur and you're not an accounts payable manager or a director of accounts payable. You're helping people implement new solutions?
That's correct. Yeah. So I actually gained this knowledge when I was at Temple. I played a very big part in the functional implementation side of the business when we implemented SAP Concur travel, expense, and invoice, and also purchase request. Being that heavily involved in those solutions was a benefit for me when I accepted the position at SAP Concur. Because I implement it and I know the solution works and I'm so passionate about it, it was a win-win. And so my journey that I never thought I would ever get over, from Temple, looking back and how I felt then and how I am today and how it all transpired, I kind of want to say thank you, Temple.
Right.
Right? Because I would have never made that change.
So,
right?
Teri, I think, and you're a perfect example of this, that this is a great opportunity for people who work in accounts payable, not to go to work for SAP Concur, but whatever the solution that they know or to learn, there are other career paths. It doesn't have to be exactly accounts payable.
You're correct. You don't. Because I thought for the longest time, this would be my life, is AP.
Right.
I didn't realize the journey that you go through in that role, the things that you touch and you get yourself involved in as an accounts payable person. So for me, it was that implementation. So say you're implementing a new ERP system, right? Could be SAP.
Any,
It could
right.
be
Or another one.
right. Absolutely. It could be Elucid. It could be any ERP that
Right.
you have.
Or any, what I used to call bolt-on. I think there's a lot more opportunity than people realize.
Yeah, it's because we're in the trenches every single day as someone, somebody in accounts payable, the same as purchasing. You're
Right.
in it, you know it better than anyone. You
Mm-hmm.
can do it blindfolded, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely this is the time. I say with accounts payable, when we move to automation, we're no longer accounts payable. We're accounts payable audit disbursement team, because that's really what you're doing, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
as we move towards automation, you are not data entering anymore, right? So you have to just double check what's coming in through.
I think not only audit, which is, you bring up a very good point with that, with Teri, but also there are increasingly a focus on analytics, and God knows accounts payable has the data.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, right. And just think about all the reporting. I think a month end close too.
oh,
Oh
right.
goodness, right? So back in the day with month end close, if you're not automated, you're still feeling the pain. No sooner are you closing your audit for the month. I mean your month end. A
It's
week
next
later, it's
month.
starting all over
It's
again, and
next
all the
month again.
paper. Oh, and then you go through the filing, the filing cabinets to
Yeah.
get the invoice, and it's not there. And then you're trying to remember who has whatever invoice. I
Yeah.
don't even know. But the month end close is so much smoother once you automate. And then fraud, right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
another
God.
thing.
Yeah.
Fraud is, especially with the computers and stuff like that, if you are not looking,
Oh, every last minute.
even email, right? Email comes through.
Oh,
Be
yeah.
careful of how it ends, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't have a company's last part of that email address,
Yeah.
yeah. And
It's
also
fun.
triple check it.
Yeah.
Call. Make
All
sure.
right, Teri. Before we get to your tips and suggestions for those who find themselves in the same position, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, if you like this episode, please give us a thumbs up. And if you loved it, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. We produce new content for this channel 3 times a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays are devoted to payment and accounts payable issues, and Saturdays are reserved for Wordle. Okay, Teri. What tips or suggestions do you have for folks who find themselves in the same boat you are? You were. You're no longer there.
That's right. So the tip, well, first of all, you have to go through the grieving.
Yeah.
Give yourself time. That's really important, because if you don't stop, think, breathe, you're going to just jump into a position, a job that you're not going to be happy, right? So you want to go to work every day and be happy with your job. Be happy who you're working for and with. And be passionate. Being passionate is really important. You got to believe in what you're doing. So definitely feel you need to take time. Don't rush. I guess it's easier said than done when I have a spouse. So I'm not my only bread income. So maybe people have to make a change a little different. Maybe start out with, like a Robert Half or something like that, just to see, maybe test that way. But I do think it's really important to sit back, breathe, look at opportunities out there, take that jump, that change. I'm so happy that I made a career change. In AP, we always want to help, and you never feel like you can help. Besides a lot of times we get yelled at because the invoice was lost or whatever. Now I'm in a role that I feel like I'm helping people. I'm making a difference. And
so you said 2 other things that I thought were very right on. You said update your LinkedIn profile page.
oh yeah,
Number 1, and number 2, you talked about you networked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, networking is key. Don't be afraid to network, because all they can do is don't accept you.
Right.
I would go and I Googled on accounts payable, right? And I started sending requests to everybody in AP
That's with
and
LinkedIn, within LinkedIn.
within LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay.
And I really met some great people that way.
Yeah.
And I was able to tell my story. And it's just through all that connection that can help you get to your next journey. So for
Right.
me, it was very helpful because when I was trying to start my own business as Tess. So, and I remember when I got one of my jobs prior to SAP Concur, I actually reached out to the president of the organization to introduce myself.
Okay.
To say, I was trying to start my own business, but the pandemic is hitting. I see that there's an opportunity out there in this director's role. And he said, well, let me look into it for you and I'll get back. And sure enough, he got back and I got an interview and then I got the job. So
You never know.
you
You
just
never
never
you never
know.
know.
It's okay to be afraid, right? Fear is
Hmm.
good. Fear
Yeah.
is what brings on challenges.
Yeah.
If you don't have fear, you're never going to get strong, right?
So
Yeah.
before we started, I asked Teri, I said I wasn't going to ask her online, but her answer I'm just going to share with you. I said to her, do you like networking or do you hate it? She said, oh, I love it. Of course she does. But just the thought of networking it makes many people cringe. They know they should do it, but the thought of approaching people they don't know really makes them want to run for the hills. But as Teri showed you, it doesn't have to be that way. So they put it off and they put it off. But as she's shown, it can really pay off. We recently did a broadcast I call Networking for Introverts. It takes the viewer step by step through a networking process that even the shyest person will be able to execute. Hint, the first few steps don't involve talking to anyone. So we did the broadcast on it. It'll take you through those nerve-wracking interactions, and you can watch it right now using the link that will appear momentarily on YouTube and is in the show notes below. As always, we appreciate your thumbs up, your shares, your subscribes, and your comments.